great. Let me just give a quick introduction to our speaker. First of all, I'd like to just give a small introduction to our audience and those who are listening. That this Stopping the Violence webinar episode has been going on for over 3 years. We have had several extraordinary speakers, innovators, and various people from every kind of sector of society that is working in some way or another to stop the violence. Originally started for your information, Brother Beeks, that we started off with dealing with gun violence. And we realized that, as my favorite quote is, that during the course of this seminar and having all these extraordinary people doing extraordinary things around this nation, we realized that the gun is just an inanimate object, and it takes someone to pick it up, to use it to hurt someone else. So what is the root causes that has caused people to execute, if you will, violence in their communities and their families and in the nation? So we've had several excellent programs, episodes, and we're looking forward to you. We would love for you to speak for a couple, 20 minutes or whatever you have to share with us. But I want to just give a small introduction to you. Is Antoine. I'm glad you, I was trying to pronounce your last name and I didn't want to pronounce it wrong. So you said it for me. Antoine Brooks, Sr.
It's Beeks.
He is.
It's Antoine Beeks. It's Beeks.
Beeks.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry, I don't know what I said, Brooks. I sort of saw something when I looked over here. But anyway, you're right. Antoine Beeks,
Yes.
Senior, campaign manager for Joseph Banks campaign for Hennepin County, Minnesota Sheriff. Antoine Beeks Sr. was born and raised in the city of Minneapolis. He completed his primary education within the Minneapolis public school system, earned a degree in law enforcement for Minneapolis Community and Technical College. With more than 30 years of service, Mr. Beeks has dedicated his career to serving the city of Minneapolis and communities throughout greater Minnesota. His experience includes roles in security service, Minnesota's Department of Corrections, served as a peace officer. He is currently serving, as we had stated before, the campaign manager for Joseph Banks campaign for Hennepin County Sheriff. Throughout his career, Mr. Beeks has held leadership roles in service-oriented positions, consistently demonstrating a strong commitment to public service and community support. My brother, God bless you. Thank you for coming on this Christmas Eve day. And we look forward to hearing your story. The floor is yours.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank everyone for taking time out of your Christmas Eve, right? And joining such a fabulous platform. I'm honored. I'm truly honored to be asked to be on here to speak. Brother VJ, thank you very much. We have been knowing each other for an extremely long period of time. Reverend, thank you for hosting, such a platform and such an event. And all of the others who are here again on your Christmas Eve. Again, you kind of shared a little bit about me. But just to kind of go just a little bit further, my mother, Viola May Beeks Jr., she was one of the first African-American females in the state of Minnesota, as she has served her tenure with the Hennepin County, the City of Minneapolis Public Housing Authority as a officer there. For like around about 8 or 9 years prior to her unfortunate, untimely death. where she was killed by gun violence in a domestic situation. Prior to that, she had taught within the Minneapolis public schools for about 7 or 8 years. So when we talk about violence, right? Unfortunately, my family is no stranger to violence. Um, Outside of my mother, I've had an uncle who was 19 at the time. He too was killed by his girlfriend through gun violence. I had a auntie here in the city of Minneapolis who was taking um, who was taking her grandma, our granddaughter to interview, a job interview, and she was struck by gunfire as she got caught between um, gang members, between a group called the Highs and the Lows, and she also lost her life. And then there was two other family members that I lost, family members to gun violence down in Omaha, Nebraska. So again, unfortunately, my family is no stranger to gun violence and just violence overall. So yeah, that kind of gives just a little bit of background. I have 6 wonderful children. I have 5 adorable grandchildren. I love them all to death. Um, 2 of my grandchildren currently stay in the state of Arizona, and I'm looking forward to kind of going down there and seeing them within the next 30 days or so here. So again, that just kind of gives you just a little bit of a background on me, if you will. But as we kind of talk about gun violence or just violence as a whole, right? We've been talking about stopping the violence for quite some time throughout the country, right? Um, and it seems to be, if you will, a cancer that just won't go away. So how do we um, curb the violence? Because violence just doesn't seem to stop. Um, we used to have the mindset or the attitude or disposition of it takes a village to raise a community. Somehow, some way along the way, we lost that. Um, we lost people going to church. Um, and as things went on, when we are taking things from the community, when we're taking things from our youth, when we're taking things from our families, we have to provide them with something greater, I'm sorry, equal or greater in order to keep them engaged. If we don't do that, or if we fail to do that, then basically they tend to look for other things that are typically not positive or productive because they're being glorified, by the big rims on the nice cars that they may be seeing, the guys hanging out, flashing all the money, et cetera, et cetera. So this is where we tend to kind of start having, some of the issues that we're seeing. But, when we're talking about guns, like you stated before, Reverend, um, it's just a tool. I am a firearms instructor, and I know that I can sit a gun, if you will, a loaded gun on my table, wherever, and it's just going to sit there until someone picks it up and chooses to do some type of ill will or ill act with that firearm. So we talk about how we need to have stronger gun laws and gun penalties and things of that nature. And I'm all for making sure that there is no straw purchases and that everyone is properly vetted to ensure that they are supposed to be in possession of a firearm, if you will. However, when we are arresting individuals, but yet we're letting these guys out on low bonds, we're making all of these plea deals, and things of that nature. This is where, again, we start to have various issues and concerns because we're not holding these individuals accountable accordingly. But again, there's always different forms of trauma. we have to look at. We have to look at the education. We have to look at the geographics of where these things are happening, right? And again, and I'm certain that, as you stated, over the last 3 years of these webinars, there's been a lot of prolific speakers, I'm sure, and they have covered a lot of this stuff. So I'm going to stay somewhat general, but at the same time, I want to make sure that we understand how impactful these items are in addition to others, right? So again, trauma, it's a pretty general term. And we know that there's a lot of different forms and levels of trauma, whether that may be education, whether that may be homelessness, whether that may be mental health, whether that may be addiction, et cetera, right? And so how do we address, these issues and concerns? It goes right back to we as a family must acknowledge this stuff. And when I talk about family, I'm talking about the homes. I'm talking about the community. I'm talking about the police. I'm talking about the park and rec board. I'm talking about the neighborhood grocery store or neighborhood community or corner store. All of us has to be or should be involved in raising our communities, making sure that we are involved at this violence, this epidemic that we're seeing is curbed. And it comes through transparency, communication, having some form of a plan that we all kind of agree to. When we're talking about unity, one of the big things that I think that we're seeing here when it kind of comes to especially our young people is social media. It has been a huge impact, on our kids, and not necessarily in a positive way, because I believe that it has distorted a lot of their critical thinking, and again, so they just act off impulse. There's no filter, and again, I don't want to make it out to be that it's just our young people, because we do have some old school individuals, if you will, that are out here committing some of these same unwanted, unneeded, and or illegal acts in our community, which is again, bringing all different type of trauma. But I just wanted to kind of quickly kind of throw out some numbers here real quick. When we talk about mental health, we're talking about 1 in every 5 of our youth is diagnosed with some form of mental health. Now, that is the ones that we know about, right? Those are the ones that's diagnosed, which is about 20% of our youth between the ages of 8 and 18. When we talk about homelessness, we're talking about 4.2 million of our youth is experiencing some form of homelessness. That is quite a number. So when we have our youth out here experiencing homelessness, then we know that they're not eating properly, they're not getting educated properly, and they're either becoming a witness, suspect, or victim in some potential crime. That percentages definitely goes up. When we talk about addiction, we have 1.7 million roughly, because again, addiction is a whole list of different items that our youth is experiencing. And last but not least is incarceration. We have about 88 individuals per 100,000 people will experience some form of incarceration. And that again is a huge number when we start, tallying up, the numbers of youth that we have or just people, in our society. So then therefore, when we start to have all of these trying and troubling and tribulating issues and concerns in our community, then the question kind of remains: how do we curb the violence in our community? A lot of folks will say, "Oh, well, it starts within the home. It starts within the home. It's all about the parents," and so on and so forth. Now, if I may digress here just a little bit, by all accounts, I should be just another victim. I should be just another number. When I just told you about all of the situations that my family has experienced as far as violence, being raised, by a single parent. I haven't saw my father, since I was 2 years of age. So when we talk about single parents and primarily these mothers that are raising these kids in the absenteeism of a father, and how these young men um, um, go out here and continue to make children, but yet they're not involved. Digress here just again. My first child I was 15 years old. 15 years old. Just imagine that. I had 3 children by the age of 21, 3 of them. And those 3 were by 3 different females. So my track record here was not looking really good for me. It was fortunately for me that my mother was a very strong-willed individual, um, and that she had laid a platform um, that I was able to kind of acknowledge. And even though that I lost her at the good old ripe age of 18, just kind of coming out of high school, um, how do you say that the apple didn't fall too far from the tree, right? So there was around about 6 years from the age of like around about 18 to like around about 26 years of age. I was just out there. I wasn't, really working like I should. I mean, I didn't get into any drugs. I didn't get into any gangs. I believe my savior, um, one of a couple of my saviors, if you will, is that I stayed in the gym. I was constantly working out, but at the same time, that gave me a really, really bad mindset because I felt that I was indestructible, you know, and being raised by my uncles who were not kind. I mean, they were good to the family, right? But they were not kind to the community. They were not kind to the public, and they were always forcing me and pushing me into a situation to where you're not going to get taken advantage of. No one's going to punk you, et cetera, et cetera. So they were raising me to be tough. They were raising me to be hard. They were raising me to be callous. And here we are, 40 years later, and I'm, was just now learning that it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay for a man to cry, things of that nature. And a lot of our young people, especially our African American men, our young youth, does not understand that. They too feel that they have an image that they have to uphold. You talk about all this social media beef. They're setting up fights, in schools, outside of schools to terrorize the community, et cetera, et cetera. And so we have to be able to kind of get back to this village, to raise a child here. When we're talking about education, right? Um, we have about 5.3%, of our youth that will not graduate. You know, um, And again, that 5.3% seemed like a very small number, but when you start adding up all of our youth, that becomes a very large number, right? And here's just kind of some of the disparities here. When we talking about the American Indian, they're at about 10% of their youth that will not graduate. Hispanic, a little over 8%. African American, 6.5%. Caucasian, a little over 4%. And Asian at 2%. So we have to ask ourselves, right? What is it, for example, that the Asian community is doing that the African American community is not doing? Or what is it that the African American community is doing that the American Indian, community is not doing? And that's when we kind of start, getting into some of the geographical stuff, right? Um, Individuals start to become a product of their environment, what they see every day, what they're being taught, what they're being shown. Um, and when they have these interactions, with um, law enforcement has a duty and a responsibility to acknowledge and understand if this interaction causes for an arrestable moment or is this a teachable moment, right? We know that we're not going to arrest, our way out of this situation as far as violence, whether that's gun violence or whatnot. Um, so we need to kind of come up with um, realistic and goals and obtainable goals, a reachable plan for our communities. And this is only some of the things that uh, why I am the campaign manager for Joseph Banks, as we want to bring these items and others, to the community, because we know that the community being separated from law enforcement or just being separated in general, even with nationality, being separated, spiritually and things of that nature, we're not going to win. We're not going to have the type of outcome, that we want to have. Um, and it's really interesting when we look at certain things when we're talking about it, geographical, on how we have more liquor stores, in our communities than we have schools. Again, we talk about the low bail and the plea deals. We talk about these outstanding services that we have, in our communities, such as some of the rehab centers and things of that nature. But they put them, primarily right back in the community that they were having these issues and concerns with in the first place. So as they um, complete their 30-day program or their 60-day program, they go right back into the communities, that they were just removed from. And it's easy to get right back into what they were doing because there really hasn't been any real rehab. I mean, no one's wanting to hire, too much of convicted felons. They don't have the mental fortitude to know what it means to, go to work, every day and wait for that paycheck. And they don't know about, benefits. And therefore we start kind of getting off of even to the health, physical health of us. All of these things are huge. Even if we're just talking about a simple dental visit, it's huge to our overall outcome of who we are as a society. So to kind of summarize all of this, because the main question is how do we stop or how do we curb the violence in our communities and abroad, right? Um, family, family. It's things like this here, simple webinars like this here. We cannot stop talking about it. Um, at the same time as we're talking about this stuff, we have to make sure that we are having a plan. So as we move forward, we will be able to follow up and follow through and making sure that we're getting things done. Again, not only in our own backyard, but abroad.
Thank you, my dear brother. That was, of course, again, extraordinary. I'd like to, you began off and said, I had made reference to all the um, speakers that have come on, and then you said you would speak generally.
Mhm.
What I've always found that every single one has a unique nuance that is irreplaceable. And that's where we came in to begin to kind of mold and shape the name of everything that we're doing outside of this webinar. And one of the programs or the conferences we had that began to shape a name that I think is indicative of my statement of having all these extraordinary people, and even how you presented in your unique way was the best practices. How do we bring all of these best practices? And what I learned was we have all these best practices, these extraordinary thinkers, doers, as yourself, that have been doing things in the community, even thought leaders themselves that can be, these type of things can be put into action. Was that many times we're like, I always said that my other point is that we're like silos on their own, but there's best practices out there that have made a sustainable difference. I'm quite sure, Brother Beeks, there's some things that you have done that has changed the lives of other people uh, in your community. So how do we, again, I think you kind of addressed it in the end. How do we begin to, and what we're attempting to do with our brother, Reverend VJ, is to kind of compile these best practices and put it in one circle, not taking away from anyone, but how do you bring them back? We discuss, and then we can bring and create some excellent and sustainable action points in every community that we are serving around the nation. And you're right, it depends on geography, it depends on the demographics and everything else. How do you address? And I think we've heard throughout the course of these 3 years, different demographics, the different types of, as you had mentioned, the different types of traumas that are associated with violent behavior or behaviors that are unbecoming to the greater community. But at the end of the day, I think that once you made a very pertinent statement about even your life. That's just to say that there's so many other of what I call geniuses out there that just have not been exposed. It had not had the the environment, if you will, as you had said before, that even though they go to these rehab programs, maybe they have had some epiphanies looking to really change, but the community itself that they have to go back into the environment, including social media, does not help them sustain what they have learned and the epiphanies that they have, engendered while they were in those rehab places. And how do we begin to change that? Just in conclusion, I want to open up the door and to get some more from you. And just some young speakers. Someone sent me a video yesterday of a very young speaker who came from the community as well. But, he was a 4.0 student all through class, and you could put him in with the rest of his brothers, you wouldn't tell the way he speaks and everything else. But he said, what we have not done enough of was to put those who can mirror me and my accomplishments in front of the masses of others so they can see that there's another reference point. There's another person or that you can emulate, outside of just sports and dancing and all that kind of stuff, but who has academic accomplishments, who has began to be his own thinker, on which each one are capable of. But he said they're not exposed. One of the other things he did say, because of the social media, and he was only like 24, 20 something years old, because of the social media, our young people do not read. They do not read. So they take what they hear as the law, as the absolute, but they need reference points. So I read so I can get the right reference points, and then I can think for myself. So I want to thank you so much for what you have said. You said a mouthful. You said a lot, very powerful. Really grateful. So I just want to open up the floor and thank you again. The floor is open for VJ if you wanted to say something. And of course, Brother Beeks, you can, follow up on some of the things I might have said or some things that you wanted to continue to say.
Well, absolutely. I think that the young man whom you were speaking with the 4.0, I believe that when we were talking about education, that is critical. People being able to read appropriately. But when we're talking about the social media, and the critical thinking skills, that information, if you will, we used to have to look up. We used to have to go and research. And now, this information is at the click of a finger, chat GPT and things of that nature. I remember when, we used to get scolded pretty good on how you used to try and do a thesis paper or something like that there, and you try and go and take something from the footnotes or the back of a book. I mean, it was easy to detect, but these youth are basically kind of getting away with that stuff on a more of a regular basis, if you will. And again, I am certain that there's a lot of other different information, insight from many others based off of kind of what position they may hold or what title or what it is that they're doing in our society, and a blessing to everyone that is out here doing what needs to be done to kind of help with this epidemic. But again, we can't give up.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So you're one of the ones. Go to the VJ, but then encyclopedia era is over. You to go and research that. VJ.
Yeah, what I wanted to add was thank you, Brother Beeks. I learned a lot about you, and that's really interesting to hear somebody speak that you talk to damn near all the time, and certain things you didn't get. But the one thing was the Beeks homicide was a woman that we really loved in our community, and the whole city turned out for that. I wanted to know, how did that change your life? Because the whole visual for us was a grandmother and a mother got shot, minding her own business, loving her grandkids and her kids. How did it change your life?
Well, first of all, let me say that same year, we had 3 small babies that were also killed that year through gun violence. And I believe there's at least 2 of those cases have not even been solved yet. I guess lucky for my family, or the blessings for my family, we was able to bring the shooter to justice. But again, it really kind of changed me in ways that it's really kind of interesting. I had just left. I had just resigned from the police department because there was just a lot of things within that agency that was going on that I did not care for. I was not. I didn't feel I was able to be the type of officer that the community wanted, needed, and desired. So I had to step away. And I think I was more bothered by whom I had worked alongside of for more than a decade, and for them to kind of turn their backs, on me the way that they did, I found that to be very, very impactful, and very heartfelt. I believed that because of who I was and the ties that I had to the community, and other factors, that we would definitely find the killer and bring them to justice. But here's the thing: is that um, we talked about the plea deals and things of that nature because there are so many individuals that was involved in this. And to kind of give you a really quick, short snippet of kind of what happened, my auntie, grandmother, taking her granddaughter to a job interview. Um, One gang member from the Highs, they were called the Highs, contacted his buddy, his partner, and said, "Hey, we got a rival coming through our territory. We think that he is getting ready to drive by your house and do a drive-by on your house because that house, that particular address was a problem address and it was known to kind of get shot up." Unfortunately, the mother and father there, along with local law enforcement who knew this history, the community knew this history, but no one really took the necessary steps to step in and say, "Hey, what can we do to rectify this problem, to not only prevent the death of my aunt, but also to make that community from being a hood and turn it into a neighborhood." And that was, the ball was dropped from that standpoint on so many different levels. Basically, kind of getting right back to what I was saying before, it takes a village to raise a community. Um, but again, the ball was dropped, and this was the outcome. Unfortunately, these young men, went to prison, and now we are still experiencing the trauma in our family. I'm sure that they're still experiencing trauma in their family. That community is still experiencing trauma because there's been various different entities that had came out and supported our family. Again, we were pretty well known in the city, and now we have a bench as a memorial over there, along with some plaques that was approved by the city. But now, as you continuously drive by this bench or these plaques and things of that nature, it just kind of it's just kind of reoccurring, and that's just kind of continual trauma, to the community.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I know it's quite hard. It's not easy. Anyone else like to open up? I do see someone like to share. Anybody? Do we have, I haven't seen my dear sister, Dr. Madeline. I don't know if she's open to share anything, but we'd love to hear from you if you do. And we have Barry Geller, who works with the Ambassadors for Peace. If he has any questions or statements to make, the floor is open to anyone.
Well, I will say this here. I'm sorry, Mr. Gallagher, but I will say this here. If there is anyone, local or beyond, that would like to contact me, I'm an open book. Trust me. And my contact information, am I able to share that?
Sure, you can put it in the, why don't you just put it in the chat?
Okay. When it kind of comes to this technology stuff, boy, we
Yeah, I understand. I told you we're the encyclopedia people. Go search.
Abeek Senior at gmail.com, ABEEKSSR at gmail.com. I still will put it in the chat. I'm sure I will find it, but I will definitely put my information in there for you.
Well, also we're, as you were speaking, I guess Reverend VJ already probably read my mind already. as you were speaking. I said, oh, he's probably one of the kind of a speaker because the way you generalize all of the different categories, some people come and speak about specific things that you had said. You had said, I'll be more general than specific. And some people have come and shared those specific details, trauma, whatever, et cetera, et cetera. But we might be looking for it. We're having a New Year's resolution, BJ, that we will have that second Stop the Violence, the best task force, best practices task force that we created conference that is upcoming. We're going to have it next year. So probably next 3 months or so, but we need to discuss it. We've been working on it for a while, but everybody has gotten a little off track a little bit because of different schedules, but we will do it. So you are already invited.
Well, I greatly appreciate that.
We have Dr.
20
Madeline. Oh, Gary,
2026.
Barry, go ahead, Barry, and then
Okay,
Madeline.
Yeah, go ahead, Barry.
Thank you very much. Mr. Beeks, I just want to say that you're in the Twin Cities area in
Yeah,
Minneapolis.
Minneapolis area. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I lived there for about 6 months back, a long time ago. It was a different city then. And I'm just really moved and, by your efforts and saddened by some of the experiences you referred to in your life. I know it hasn't been easy for you, and yet, I commend you for, doing the work that you do, the good work that you do to try to better your community. And I don't know how relevant this question is, and forgive me if it isn't, but I wonder how much has the influx of Somalian immigrants affected the city of Minneapolis, or is that not a great question to ask? Or
No,
hey, I was trying to avoid it. Go ahead.
Hey,
oh, I'm sorry, I shouldn't.
It's okay.
No.
I'm just joking.
Trust me, there is no question, honestly, that I don't believe that's not a good question. That's an absolutely good question. I don't think, Phil or Bleep, honestly, that is so much the influx of the Somali culture, the Somali community, because they've been in Minnesota, for quite some time.
Yeah.
It's just that here recently, they made headlines, if you will, because of all of the fraud. Now, I will say this here. There is a whole bunch of African American. There is some Caucasians as well that has been frauding, our communities, our state for quite some time. May not necessarily be on that scale of millions of dollars, if you will, but there has been quite a few nonprofit organizations, in our communities that receive thousands of dollars every year to provide various different services, outreach, stop the violence, safety initiatives, et cetera, and they are not doing what they're supposed to be doing with this money. So when we talk about the Banks for Sheriff campaign, this is where we plan to kind of come in and ensure that that we're meeting with the governor, we're meeting with the AG, we're meeting with the mayor and whomever else that needs to be at this table to ensure that the I's is dotted and T's is crossed pertaining to this type of stuff. And if it's not, we're going to hold people accountable. It's just that simple. We have been going for far too long to go along to get along here. And there's way too many individuals and entities that are placing personal, political, and financial gain in front of doing what's right. And this type of activity has to stop. And I don't care if you're, African American, Somali, Caucasian, whatever nationality, you may be, it has to stop. And we plan on bringing, some solutions to this here. In addition to that question is one of the other big issues is that we have right now our mayor of city of Minneapolis and the chief of police of Minneapolis, which is being supported by a host of other individuals. And they're not necessarily helping the situation that we have. They're throwing out verbiage, they're throwing out rhetoric that is quite alarming. They just did a press conference, I believe it was within the last 48 hours, as they were using verbiage such as, people will get killed, even ICE agents, things of that nature. We just had a situation within like the last couple of weeks or so where ICE agents, were attacked by a mob of people, but this is coming from two things. Number one, the verbiage and the rhetoric that's being spilled by our leaders, our so-called leaders, if you will. Two, there is no cohesiveness, there is no teamwork, there is no communication between our law enforcement agencies. Whether you're city or local or state, you still have a duty, you have an obligation by your charter to provide security for your community. You may not necessarily like and or agree with what the federal agents are doing or what our current president or whatever the case may be is doing, but you have to make sure that you are at these tables to know exactly what's going on. So then therefore you can feed your community, the best information that you can for them, and not only them, but for everyone to be safe. You don't have to give away various information to place the agents in harm's way, but at the same time, you don't, provide verbiage or state verbiage that's going to have these ICE agents and also the community in danger because, you're not working in conjunction with your federal partners.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it. I think you had a great answer, and I'd like to discuss with you offline more of this, what we're just discussing. But I like your answer. Yeah, all of us, it has to be everybody has to be accountable.
Absolutely.
And people hear social media, they hear verbiage, and that there's backgrounds to everything on both sides, right? So we have to look at backgrounds and my
Absolutely.
dear sister, my dear.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let
Yeah,
her come on. I got something to say too.
Okay, no problem. Even
I
if we have
won't,
to go over, go
I
ahead.
won't be long. Peace and grace, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you,
Minister,
Mr.
I'm going to call you minister because you ministered to us today and you gave us wisdom. Reverend Oliver, make sure you and he have a one-on-one.
I will.
Okay, praise God. But I just want to thank you for sharing your wisdom and your expertise. Thank you for being able to press through what you've been through and still standing in a place where you can be used and you open your arms to be used for the community to move forward. So I just want you to know that I appreciate the work that you're doing. I appreciate the fact that you have not given up. And I appreciate the fact that you see what's needed in the community concerning the earth, the youth, and how they can move forward. So thank you, my brother.
Well, I greatly appreciate that, Miss Clark Alexander. And again, I will definitely continue to do what I can here. I've been here for 56 years. I have to say this here is Minnesota, Minneapolis used to be a city that I was so proud of. I was extremely, if someone was to come in here and throw a cup on the ground, I'd be, hey, you better pick that up. You ain't doing that over here, but I have to say that I am truly troubled by how we as Minnesotans in the state of Minnesota has allowed our state and our communities to be plagued by this pandemic and the epidemic of violence and fraud and just the cover-ups and the lies and the deceitment and all this other different things. But to your point, Miss Clark Alexander, you are exactly right. We will not give up. And this is why I again have chosen to partner, with Mr. Joseph Banks and run for Hennepin County, so then therefore we can bring some solutions to these problems.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Dr. VJ.
Yes, sir. What I wanted to add is I've been in Minnesota since '77. I was there before the Somalians came. The first flow of Somalians came in just for education and entrepreneurship. There was another flood of Somalians that came in fatherless. Their mothers brought those kids. They became gang members. And then a lot of those Somalians became very political and took over neighborhoods. Much of that subsidized housing that we had as African Americans, we lost hundreds and hundreds of subsidized housing to them. And the government allowed to do that. Catholic charities and all the other Lutheran social services, the government paid for them to do that. So it caused a division between us. So right now, they're trying to do something. They gave them those opportunities. Now they're trying to take them away. So you have to know the true story and the real story to understand really what's going on politically, financially for us as African Americans and Somalians. Just wanted to share that.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Smith.
Absolutely. Well said, BJ.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you very much for that. We're coming to a close, but we have a few more minutes. I see our chairman on the line as well, Dr. Jenkins, the chairman of the UPF. I'm the vice president. He is the chairman now of UPF on North America. And so he's also a progenitor of initiating this. Of course, Mother Moon is the one who really initiated it, but he became the person who heard and asked me to move forward on it. And here we are today. Dr. Jenkins.
Here we are.
Welcome.
I'm proud of you, Reverend Oliver, Mr. Beeks. What a great presentation. VJ, my brothers and sisters. Also, our pastor, we love you. Dr.
VJ.
VJ.
Yes, sir.
Is Madeline still here? Madeline, thank you so much for your devotion here. We're so grateful, VJ. I love you, man. We started
You too,
together
brother.
on this. And I just want to congratulate Stopping the Violence. Mr. Beeks, we need your leadership. We want to support you in any way we can. Dr. Oliver is really developing a beautiful collaboration among hundreds of peacemakers and everybody from law enforcement to community organizations, former gang members and doctors and mayors of cities. I mean, it's just so great to meet these great people of God that really are making the huge difference. I think we can do so much more. So congratulations on 2025, Dr. Oliver. That's all I have to share. I just thank you all.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr.
God bless.
Thank you. Anyone else as we come to our close? I think we have a couple more minutes.
Oh, Reverend Geller's there. Hey, Reverend Geller, sorry about that.
No problem. Thank you, Dr. Jenkins.
And Dr. Joseph Taylor. Man, these are the best people. Thank you. Thank you. Sorry, in my car, so we're couldn't see so well. Thank you.
No problem. So actually, we are coming to the close. So normally, my brother Antoine Beeks Sr. I was looking at your name. I didn't want to, didn't want to pronounce it wrong, but I'm glad you did it initially. But we'd like to give you your last, the last words to share with us your thoughts as we close.
Absolutely. Well, I won't tell you my whole name because that would really kind of throw you off. But it's Antoine Crevel Santonio Beeks Sr.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah, it's quite the spelling too, let me tell you. But again, I want to just say, thank you for the opportunity to be here today. I really appreciate the invite to be amongst, God's people. And I'm looking forward to, Mr. Jenkins and Geller and all of the others, yourself as well, Reverend Oliver, and whomever else I may be forgetting. I apologize for that. But I really look forward to being part of something that's much bigger than all of us, and this is why all of us are here, because we know it takes a village in order to get this work done. And there are so many individuals, as Mr. Jenkins just stated, that are recovering from various different things in life and so on and so forth, that is all part of this. And they have the young man that you're talking about that's a 4.0 in school, being a young person. We all have various different outlooks and insights on what's going on and what it will take in order for us to be able to curb this violence that are going on in your own backyard or abroad. I just look forward to being a part of it. And if there's anything, and I do mean anything that I might be able to do, I did find the chat, the information. My information is in there. Please reach out. And yeah. And if there's anything that there's anything you need, just let me know. We're here.
Thank you so much. As we come to the close, I would just like, I know you have the last word, but one of the things that you just said, as you concluded in some of the remarks you made, you said, the solution, and you made it twice, the solution is family. Of course, the nuclear family, but you encompass the family being all of these people that we have just shared with. I have shared, Dr. Jenkins shared, ex-gang members, political leaders, all of these social outreach leaders who have been working so diligently and with all their heart and soul to help curb the violence in their community and in the nation. And you said that's the family. So I like that. So I wanted to say thank you for coming on and joining the family, this family here as well. And so we will be in contact with you. Everyone else, thank you so much for coming on again. We look forward to seeing you. Merry Christmas and happy holidays, and we will see you next Wednesday.
Likewise.
Peace and blessings, everybody.
Yes, sir.
Have a good evening. Happy holidays.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Take care. Happy holidays, everybody.
Thank you, EJ.
God bless. Happy holidays.
Thank you, Mr. Beeks. God bless all
All
of you.
right, Queen.
Love you,
All right.
dude.
Good to see you,
Happy
Dr.
holidays.
Madeline.
God
Happy
bless.
holidays.
Seen and not viewed.
Clark, good to see you.
Thank you. God bless.